Premier released a pamphlet today which is a rehash of old ideas. It appears to be announcing many things that we've seen already. It returns to the 2003 ideology of the Sask Party, which emphasizes privatization at all costs. It doesn't appear to have anything there for families. Small businesses appear to be left out. They reference the failed P3 project and reconstruct it as Sask builds. We know that that had a lot of difficulties last time around. I don't understand why they're returning to that. They did pick up on our NDP idea of a heritage fund, but they set out in that pamphlet that they won't start doing that until they've paid off the debt. They say they're going to pay off the debt at $80 million a year. That means it'll be 2060 before they start the heritage fund. I'll be almost 110 years old. I plan to live that long, but I think it's a long time for Saskatchewan people to wait.
Where do you see privatization at any cost?
Well, we look at the types of things that they're going to push into this Sask Builds P3. These are all public infrastructure costs that they don't appear to have the money to do, so they're going to borrow it through private corporations. And that's a way of making the costs appear a little less on the provincial books, but we all know that it pushes the costs down into the future, and eventually we're going to have to pay for it.
What did you want to see that you didn't see in here?
I expected to see smart growth. I expected to see a heavy emphasis on making sure that families benefit, whether it's in housing or education. The references to Aboriginal, First Nation, Métis education were just that, brief references. They had no plans at all of how they're going to address this major problem for us in the province. The taxation proposals don't affect small businesses, which employ most of our people. So I think there were a lot of things that were not smart growth, which is what we in Saskatchewan need.
What did you think about? Had said during the election campaign that he liked the idea had merit of the Futures Fund, as you guys called it at the time, but that it would have to wait until the debt is paid off. So are you really that surprised to hear him say today it's going to have to wait until the debt is paid off?
Well, I'm not surprised for him to say that, but practically, when you do the calculations on the information they have, that means we wait 48 years for that fund. Well, that's not a very smart way to do it. If I owe money on my house, but I have children that I know need education 10 or 15 years from now, I make sure I set aside money for those children. I think that Saskatchewan people would understand if we could set up a fund which would benefit future generations using one-time resources, which the mineral resource and oil resources are, and do it that way. So I think he missed an opportunity here to look at this in a more reasonable fashion.
There were a couple specifics about housing, including selling 300 single-family units that SHC owns, and using that money to build multifamily developments. What are your thoughts about what they're looking at doing with housing?
Well, I think it's steps that you take in housing are always important, and that needs to be the right combination of both Sask housing or provincial government built properties and encouraging the private sector. I think that some of these suggestions here included using some of the resources like land that they have to actually go into building more properties. So those things may work, but I think that there doesn't really appear to be an overall plan which will deal with housing right across the province. We know that the worst housing issues in Saskatchewan are in northern Saskatchewan, and there's no reference to that.